organization of the National Transport Corporation will be reorganized and the national bus fleet modernized to provide better services to the travelers. Government will address the long-standing problem of marchand ambulant and provide alternative attractive locations to enable them to continue their trade. Duty-free facilities for taxi owners will be increased from 70% to 100%. Government will ensure that the construction industry operates according to a set standard and international norms. The quality of building materials such as cement, steel bars and wires, aggregates, concrete and blocks used in construction will be closely monitored and relevant legislations will be harmonized. Professional Engineering Council and a Building Control Act will be brought to Parliament. The structure, staffing and operations of the Construction Industry Development Board will be reviewed. Government will ensure that the landslide management unit becomes fully operational for the surveillance and investigation of the known suspected areas. The National Development Unit, NDU, now under the aegis of the Prime Minister's Office, will be provided with resources and means so that the expectations of our citizens in terms of infrastructure and amenities are fully met. The role of the Citizens Advice Bureau, CAB, as the interface between the government and the public will be reviewed and improved. Government will bring major reforms to the public utilities sector, especially in relation to domestic water supply, electricity production and distribution, as well as waste management. Government is committed to addressing on a priority basis the long-standing problem of water supply in the country. Water resources will be mobilized and infrastructure, including pipes, renewed or replaced to reduce water loss and ensure year-round water supply. The Bagatelle Dam will be completed within a year and a new dam will be constructed at Rivière des Anguilles to improve water supply in the south region. The capacity of La Nicolière Reservoir will be increased to satisfy growing demand in the north. New technologically advanced water treatment plants will be constructed at La Nicolière, Bagatelle and Rivière des Anguilles. Government will consider new projects for construction of dams along rivers and further development of groundwater to mobilize additional water resources. Government will undertake a review of the wastewater management master plan to ensure the most competitive wastewater disposal technology for environmental protection. It will address the sanitation problems in the former CHA housing states and the regions which are vulnerable to environmental hazards related to wastewater disposal. Energy is an important sector considered as the engine of economic development. The supply of electricity on a continuous basis is essential for the economy and the population at large. The power sector expansion plan will be updated to provide realistic projections for the next decade. Government will review the institutional framework of the power sector and operationalize the utility regulatory authority to ensure sound competitiveness in the energy sector and protect the interest of consumers. Government will launch a renewable energy program so as to encourage the production of energy from renewable sources. Government will ensure the timely implementation of power sector projects to meet the demand for electricity. The redevelopment of Saint-Louis Power Station will be implemented in the short term. For the medium term, government will encourage development of generation mix of green energy and clean fossil fuel technology, taking into account the best interest of the country. Government will encourage efficient use of energy at all levels, in particular in government-owned institutions. Government is committed to providing universal, accessible and quality health service free of any user cost, with emphasis on consumer satisfaction. A special counters will be set in hospitals to deal with the complaints of patients, and a special code of ethics will be introduced for health professionals. To To ensure that primary health care becomes the linchpin of our national health system, a new master plan on primary health care will be formulated and implemented. The existing system will be re-engineered to reduce pressure on the regional hospitals. For patients needing home care, a system of domiciliary visits by specialized nurses will be established. Dedicated counters will be set up at the level of primary health care centers and hospitals to cater for the needs of the elderly and disabled persons. In view of increasing demand for eye operations, ophthalmology services will be decentralized. A second cardiac surgery center will be set up to cater for the increasing demand for cardiac surgery. A vascular surgery unit will also be set up for the treatment of complex vascular diseases and prevention of amputations. Government will invest in a new cancer center, and significant investment will be made in state-of-the-art medical equipment and logistics. A rehabilitation center is envisaged to cater for patients with disabilities following accidents and surgeries. A special committee will be set up to ensure timely purchase of quality medicines and wastage elimination in the public health institutions. Awareness and sensitization campaigns will be enhanced to reach the population at large through an improved communication strategy. Glucose meters will be provided to diabetics receiving medical home care. A new HIV/AIDS action plan 2015-2020 will be formulated. The methadone substitution therapy services will be decentralized for the benefit of the patients and the community at large. Government is determined to ensuring that our country takes advantage of the opportunities of the global medical tourism industry. A national e-health project aiming at improving the quality of service delivery across all public health institutions will be implemented. The Medical Council, Dental Council and Pharmacy Acts will be reviewed in order to be more responsive to the needs and challenges of the health sector. New legislations will be introduced, namely the Pharmacy Council Bill and the Health Professionals Bill to reorganize and regulate allied health professionals. A private health institution legislation will be introduced to regulate the private health sector. Honourable members, government is fully committed to guaranteeing security and law and order to the citizens of the country and foreigners as well. A zero-tolerance policy will be adopted against child abuse, rapes, kidnapping, mafias, drug trafficking and abuse of the vulnerable. The police force will be provided with a more conducive working environment, in addition to modern equipment and state-of-the-art technology. This includes the acquisition of 18 light armored personnel carriers to be used for internal security operations, 3 new helicopters and 1 new Dornier aircraft. A commission of inquiry on drug trafficking will be set up, and government shall pursue relentlessly fight against traffickers while ensuring that our seaport and airport are equipped with state-of-the-art equipment and technology to counter any attempt to introduce drugs in Mauritius. Government will come up with a modern legal framework modeled on the UK Police and Criminal Evidence Act to address the abusiveness and arbitrariness of the present system of provisional charges. Government firmly believes that in order to achieve results, the police force must attract and retain the best competencies. To promote transparency and meritocracy, an independent body will be set up to conduct examinations within the police. Degree holders will be encouraged to join the force, and new incentives will be introduced to reward performance. A central database of criminals will be set up and made accessible online to approved institutions such as the Passport and Immigration Office and police stations. A separate electronic register of pedophiles and other perpetrators of child sexual abuse will be introduced. Police stations will be equipped with CCTV and audio recording systems. Investigations will be conducted in a more professional manner with focus on scientific-led evidence rather than confession. Government intends to introduce electronic monitoring bracelets as an alternative to imprisonment for certain types of suspects who have been released on bail, with a view to better managing the prison population. Government will establish an independent police complaints commission presided by a former judge of the Supreme Court to ensure that fundamental human rights of citizens are respected. Police officers will be allowed to syndicate to safeguard their rights. Government will bring reform to the prison department to ensure that it is properly managed and equipped and its officers adequately trained to guarantee a targeted and effective rehabilitation of offenders and their successful reintegration in the community. A new legal framework will be introduced for adult detainees aiming at eliminating structural barriers and reviewing sentencing practices by providing more options for alternatives to imprisonment. A new legal framework will be developed for the detention and the management of juveniles in custody. Government will finalize the construction of an open prison for female detainees considered as minimum risk inmates. A correctional youth center for girls will be set up under the prisons department. Government will set up a National Coalition Against Domestic Violence Committee under the aegis of the Prime Minister's Office. The committee will liaise with the Ministry of Gender Equality, Child Development and Family Welfare and the Ministry of Social Security, National Solidarity and Reform institutions to ensure that victims of domestic violence are given immediate shelter in a government institution and provided with a job and a house within a reasonable time frame to lead a normal life anew. Government will formulate a new immigration policy and reinforce the Immigration Act to cater for increasing cross-border movement of persons and its associated risks. In line with international best practices, government will modernize the immigration border control system with a view to enhancing the security and safety of passengers. The counter-terrorism unit is being reorganized and given new mandates which will enable it to establish good networking and disseminate timely information to avoid threats. Government will introduce necessary legislation to domesticate the provisions of the Hague Convention on the Protection of Children and cooperation in respect of inter-country adoption. Government will introduce strong legislation and regulations to address the issue of fake marriages involving locals and foreigners. Government will streamline existing procedures to promote Mauritius as a prime destination for tourist weddings. Government will closely monitor the sale of property, whether state lands or private lands, to non-citizens, especially in the context of the IRS, RES schemes and other business transactions. Air access policy will be reviewed to transform Mauritius into a regional aviation and tourism hub. Government will adopt an accommodating immigration policy with respect to high net worth individuals and investors willing to live in Mauritius. Honourable members, government is committed to building a responsible and responsive civil service. In this context, a series of cutting-edge measures will be implemented to bring about a transformational change in the civil service with focus on human capital development, a streamlining of processes and optimization of information and communication technologies. Government will introduce a public service bill to clarify and secure the boundaries within the executive, thus reinforcing transparency, accountability and integrity. The Civil Service College will cater for the training needs of the public sector at large, including state-owned enterprises, and serve as a regional center of excellence in public sector management and governance. A public service call center will be created to act as a one-stop shop and information center to help track applications made by citizens and provide quick information on government services. Reforms will be brought to the judiciary to expedite determination of court cases and improve services to the public. A new independent court of appeal will be set up. In line with the Mackay report of 1997, government will introduce legislation to set up a separate court of appeal section and a separate High Court section of the Supreme Court. In the above context, renovation to the Supreme Court historical building will be undertaken to accommodate the proposed Court of Appeal. A dedicated state-of-the-art court building for the Supreme Court and all its divisions will be built. The required support services for a full-fledged family division will be improved. All district courts' premises will be reviewed and upgraded to ensure better services to all stakeholders, since the bulk of court cases are dealt with at this level. Government will review and update the Code de Procedure Civil, which dates back to 1808. The special witness schemes will be reinforced for our courts to provide certain facilities to special categories of witnesses. Digital and audio recording systems will be upgraded to ensure accurate record keeping, and speedier delivery of justice. Legal aid fees to attorneys and barristers will be reviewed to ensure adequate legal representation during pre-trial and trial stages to all COPA litigants. Government will update the criminal code to provide for new criminal offences, including those related to Ponzi schemes, financial crime, as well as offences related to use of technology. The Law Reform Commission will be empowered, and further amendments will be brought to the criminal code and other laws to ensure that they meet the needs of contemporary Mauritius. Government will review our evidential laws and rules with a view to codify them in line with recent developments in the Commonwealth. Government will make better provision for the rights and interests of victims, and in particular provide in the law for representations by or on behalf of a victim to be taken into account at sentencing stage. Government will amend the criminal code to provide for a better legal framework for dealing with sexual offences and will enhance the procedural context in which these cases are dealt with. Government will introduce a juvenile justice bill to provide for a more modern juvenile justice system. Government will amend the Curatel Act with a view to making further and better provision for the administration of vacant states. Honourable members, sustainable economic development, wealth creation and equitable distribution of the national cake are fundamental elements in achieving meaningful change. Inspired by the first economic miracle that took our country out of the doldrums in the 80s, government will steer the economy to a much higher plane of development. New policies will be implemented to boost GDP growth and create jobs. Government will develop new pillars for economic growth, such as the launching of a regional bunkering hub, the development of the ocean economy, the implementation of the duty-free shopping paradise initiative, and the ICT-enabled services sectors. Government will also consolidate traditional sectors, sugar cane industry, tourism and manufacturing, and existing service sectors, namely the financial services industry, and promote the expansion of business in Africa. Innovation will be a key driver of growth. In that context, a techno park will be set up to create the right environment for carrying out new research, clinical and innovation activities. Government will also take strong actions to revitalize private investment in existing pillars of the economy with an emphasis on greater business facilitation and improvement of the investment climate. Government will revisit and unlock several investment projects that have been stuck in the pipeline for too long. These projects will be executed on a joint venture basis with the participation of local private sector and international investors. This new approach will instill a new confidence factor in the whole business community. The most critical success factor to the shaping of the second miracle will be the emergence of the new breed of young entrepreneurs and rise of the SME sector as the main engine of growth. To democratize the economy, government will ensure that SMEs become the backbone of the economy in the years to come. A new SME bank will be set up and some 10 billion rupees earmarked by government to support the development of this sector over the next 5 years. To achieve a higher growth rate will also require macroeconomic stability. To this end, there will be better coordination of monetary and fiscal policies. Urgent emphasis will be placed on resolving the problem of excess liquidity in our banking system. Inflation will be kept under control and new policies will be implemented to raise national savings. As regards public finance and fiscal policy, government will not tolerate wasteful, unnecessary and excessive expenditure. The Finance and Audit Act will be reviewed to strengthen public financial management, accountability, transparency and fiscal discipline. Government will implement an equitable tax policy based on the philosophy of fiscalité légère. Tax administration will be made more efficient and fairer, where all persons liable to tax pay their fair share. New legislation will be introduced to reinforce and modernize tax administrations and customs management. A property valuation bill will be introduced to simplify the current valuation system and promote transparency and good governance. Government will ensure that the public sector debt as a ratio of GDP is on a declining trend in order to achieve the statutory requirement of 50% by 2018. Government will revisit the Public Procurement Act so that projects are implemented faster, more efficiently, with greater transparency and better value for money. Government will be merciless in combating the growing illicit gambling activities in order to minimize harm to society. To this end, the Gambling Regulatory Authority Act as well as the institutional framework will be strengthened. A new charter for budget responsibility will be brought forward to ensure that future governments spend taxpayers' money responsibly. The tourism sector will be called upon to play a pivotal role towards achieving the targeted second economic miracle. The development of our tourism industry will be articulated around four main axes, namely attractiveness, accessibility, visibility, and sustainability of the destination. A tourism strategic plan covering period 2016 to 2020 will be formulated. An Assise du Tourisme with the participation of all stakeholders will also be organized to chart a roadmap for the sector and to enlist their commitment to government's vision of offering a unique tourism experience in a safe and secure destination. In a bid to enhance the appeal of our destination to wider market segments, government will broaden the tourism product portfolio to include ecotourism, medical tourism, shopping tourism, wellness tourism, cultural and heritage tourism, and grape tourism. Government will re-establish the reputation of Mauritius as an upmarket destination for quality of its tourism product based on a brand promise of excellent service delivery. Demand and supply will be balanced in a bid to uphold the quality of our product offer at all times. Government will, in collaboration with the tourism operators, implement an official rating system for hotel classification with a view to consolidating the tourism industry with well-defined criteria for operational standards. Regional tourism will occupy a predominant position in our market diversification strategy. An Africa strategy targeting African countries registering sustained growth will be implemented to capture a greater share of the African outbound tourists. The tourism support institutions will be revamped and reorganized to be more responsive to the needs of tourism operators. The Mauritius Tourism Promotion Authority will be restructured and provided with a new legal and institutional framework, adapted to a dynamic institution with a commercial outlook. The Tourism Authority will be transformed into a business facilitator leveraging on new technologies to provide a more efficient service to their stakeholders and reduce the cost of doing business for tourism operators. Air Mauritius, being the national airline, is the backbone of the tourist development of the country. Government will encourage Air Mauritius to take necessary steps to become more competitive and to sustain the tourism industry. To this end, it will have to be restructured to face global competition in the industry. Honourable members, government will accelerate the reforms already started in the cane industry to make it sustainable and financially viable. Diversification into ethanol production, sucrose, chemicals and other activities will be encouraged. Measures will be put forward to ensure that small planters increase their revenues from cane production, bagasse and other crops. Financial assistance, technical guidance and logistical support will be provided to this end. Special efforts will be made to encourage large-scale production of vegetables and other food products on a pooled or clustered basis with a view to reducing the country's overall food imports. Young entrepreneurs will be encouraged to engage in agricultural activities. Government will take measures to boost production of strategic crops, encourage agro-industry development through regional cross-border initiatives, explore regional markets for export opportunities, accompany small planters and agro-entrepreneurs to modernize their production methods, upgrade their skills and professionalize their activities, promote natural farming and organic production, and prioritize projects in the ornamental sector for export. Government will address the key constraints of livestock production by setting up special livestock zones in different parts of the island for cattle, goat and pig production. Government will review the terms and conditions of lease of land to mitigate to ensure the sustainability of the activities. Government reckons the importance of the cooperative sector and undertakes to further strengthen the cooperative movement by providing the appropriate legal, fiscal and policy support. Existing cooperatives will be consolidated and facilities for the emergence of cooperatives in new sectors such as green energy will be put in place. Honourable members, to give a fresh impetus to the manufacturing sector, government will elaborate an export development plan with emphasis on an Africa export strategy that will provide strong support to the domestic-oriented enterprises to tap opportunities in the African markets. In parallel, air connectivity between Mauritius and Africa will be improved and lobbying efforts made to secure the renewal of the AGOA Treaty will be intensified. The current fiscal incentives will be reviewed for enhanced competitiveness of the manufacturing sector and improve its penetration into the regional and international markets. A new investment promotion model driven by institutional alignment will be formulated based on the best investment promotion practices and value chain analysis to attract investment in high value-added manufacturing activities. Government will promote the development of a fashion industry and organize regular and seasonal fashion shows both in Mauritius and abroad that will make known internationally the Made in Mauritius label for greater acceptance of our products in new and emerging markets. Government is committed to making ocean economy an important industry to sustain economic diversification, job creation and wealth generation. A new ministry has been created and the Mauritius Institute of Oceanography as well as all ocean-related activities have been pulled together under that ministry. A legal framework and a unified regulatory body will be put in place to license, supervise, monitor and regulate the activities of ocean-related economic operators. Technical cooperation and financial assistance will be sought from international organizations and donor countries to ensure that the new industry starts off on a sound foundation. A new fisheries and marine resources bill incorporating international norms and practices for modernizing the fisheries sector will be introduced. Government will put the fishermen community at the center of development and will ensure their capacity building and training for improved livelihood. A marine pollution bill will be introduced in line with the International Maritime Organization Convention. Government will actively promote research expedition in our quest for fossil fuel and other minerals that can be sustainably exploited. Honourable members, financial services constitute a key sector of our economy and have a huge potential for growth and job creation. Substance building within the Mauritian jurisdiction will be accelerated. Government will position the Stock Exchange of Mauritius as an attractive capital-raising platform for international and African-focused financial products. Efforts will be made to promote the development of wealth management, asset management, and position Mauritius as a center for private placements, trading of bonds, and other financial instruments. Multinationals will be encouraged to set up their regional headquarters in Mauritius with more back-office activities. Investors will be encouraged to make use of the Mauritian jurisdiction for their investment into and out of Africa. Government will strive to extend the network of double taxation agreements and investment partnership and protection agreements. In achieving meaningful change, technology, communication, and innovation will constitute key drivers. In this respect, a national TCI strategic plan 2015-2020 will be formulated to pave the way for an intelligent and smart Mauritius. Government will expedite the development of high-speed connectivity through fiber to the home and 4G island-wide. The objective is to attain a broadband penetration of 60% by December 2015. The delivery of quality service online to citizens and businesses on a round-the-clock basis will be addressed. Government is committed to setting up the appropriate ecosystem and a comprehensive secure ICT infrastructure to protect Mauritius from internal and external cyber threats and attacks. The National Cyber Security Strategy will thus allow Mauritius to manage and expedite both deliberate and unintentional disturbances in the cyberspace. A techno park will be constructed in Rosebel to spearhead the development of the ICT sector. New cyber cities will be set up in the north, east, and west as well. Government is committed to providing the right incentives to position Mauritius as the virtual office of Africa. New policies and strategies will be introduced to transform the ICT BPO landscape into high-value service sourcing by moving from the traditional BPO call center services to high-end value-added services such as knowledge outsourcing, knowledge process outsourcing, and legal process outsourcing. In this context, a 4-tier data center and a disaster recovery center will be constructed for the purpose of business community. To enhance value and improve technical efficiency within the Mauritian ICT sector and to develop local capacity, as well as bringing localized ICT tools to help develop local knowledge communities, a national open source policy and strategy will be developed. The price of telecommunication services will be made more affordable for increased accessibility to the general public and business, while at the same time improving the quality of service. One of the glaring gaps identified so far in the ICT sector is the shortage and the right mix-match of skills. Government is committed to introduce viable strategies using a PPP approach to address the shortcoming. Free broadband internet connectivity through Wi-Fi network will be made available in public places and in educational institutions. Digital migration from the analog system shall happen on 17th June 2015 in line with the ITU convention. All TV channels will then be on a digital route. High-tech transmission equipment will be purchased by Multi-Carrier Mauritius Limited to improve quality of service and eliminate black spot areas. MCML will enter into agreement with international satellite operators to become a contact port to service the region. Honourable members, The airport and seaport sectors will play important roles to service the different poles of economic development of Mauritius. A special emphasis will be laid on connecting Mauritius with different parts of the world through the transformation of SSR International Airport into an efficient regional aviation hub and transforming the Port Louis Harbour into an international maritime hub. The airport will be enhanced and provided with necessary facilities to allow its development into a transit hub. An airport city will be developed which will house a wide range of aviation and commercial activities. A new port master plan will be undertaken with a view to tapping the huge potential that the ocean economy offers. Focus will be placed on the emergence of dynamic port-related activities such as cruise operation, transshipment and bunkering activities, as well as the exploration of the potential for development of the port of Vieux Grand Port. Honourable members, government will relentlessly fight fraud, corruption and financial crime. To that effect, a financial crime commission will be set up to act as an apex body to oversee the ICAC, the Financial Intelligence Unit and the Enforcement Department of the Financial Services Commission. To safeguard people's financial security and employment, measures will be brought forward to limit household indebtedness. To prevent the possibility of a systematic financial crisis, private sector gearings will be closely monitored and regulated if necessary. Government will eradicate fraud, corruption, malpractices, irregularities in all aspects of public life and restore our national values. To this end, a new Declaration of Assets Act for MPs and high-ranking public officers and Financing of Political Parties Act will be enacted. A new code of conduct will be introduced for all MPs and public officers. The entire process of tendering, procurement and contract allocation will be reviewed to increase competition, transparency and accountability. The Prevention of Corruption Act will be amended to enable more effective tracking and curbing of money laundering and accumulation of wealth through backdoor mechanism. A significant reduction in misuse and wastage of public funds will be the order of the day in all public institutions. The continued existence of loss-making institutions will be thoroughly assessed against the contribution they make to the public. The public sector will be reorganized and reformed to make it more productive, transparent, accountable and customer-friendly. A public sector efficiency bureau has already been set up as a department of the newly crafted Ministry of Financial Services, Good Governance and Institutional Reform. Government will give serious consideration to the findings and recommendations of the national auditors. Ministers, the accounting officers, the directors of parastatals body will be held accountable for abuse or misuse of public funds. Honourable members, Mauritius is a democratic country of immense cultural and ethnic diversity. A consultative and participative decision-making structure is thus crucial in meeting the varied ideas and aspirations of our diverse people. The Constitution of Mauritius guarantees fundamental rights and freedom to a citizen of the country, such as freedom of expression and speech, political opinion, assembly and association. Government is determined to protect these rights and widen the contours of our democracy. Government will adopt a genuinely decentralized and participative approach in decision-making and adopt a consultative approach in matters directly relating to the constitution of the country and in all cases where the interest of the public at large is at stake. Anti-defection legislation will be introduced to make it more difficult for MPs to cross the floor. Nationwide referendums will be held on matters of utmost importance and relating to public interest, as well as critical amendments pertaining to our sovereignty or constitution. A Freedom of Information Act will be brought forward to promote transparency and accountability in public administration and more particularly in contract allocations. Journalists and media reporters in the exercise of their functions will no longer be arrested or jailed unless there is strong prima facie evidence of a conspiracy against them. The data bank containing fingerprints and biometric photographs of the new national identity cards will be destroyed to protect sensitive personal data of our citizens. The Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation will be reorganized and made more efficient, service-oriented and less dependent on government funding. Private television broadcasts will be permitted. Live public debates and telecasts on topical issues and matters relating to public interest will be encouraged. The Electoral Supervisory Commission will be given wider powers to control and sanction fraud, corruption and conflict of interest during election time, and also to monitor political funding and abuse of position or power. Our electoral system will be reformed to introduce a dose of proportional representation in the National Assembly and guarantee better women representation. Government will amend the Local Government Act to consolidate democracy at local level and promote better participation of local councillors in the management of community affairs. Local authorities will be encouraged to implement, as far as possible, self-supporting development projects and sustainable delivery of services. The government transformation plan will be extended to the local authorities to allow for online issue of permits and collection of dues via e-payment. Honourable members, in the increasingly interdependent world, it is essential for Mauritius to play an active role regionally and internationally in order to secure desired outcomes at national level and opportunities abroad. In this perspective, government will pursue economic, trade, employment and other objectives to ensure the voice of Mauritius is duly heard. Government will conduct an economy-driven and people-focused diplomacy which aims at delivering greater prosperity, security and opportunities for our citizens. Government's effort will aim at consolidating and strengthening existing diplomatic linkages with our bilateral partners and at the same time forging new relationships across the world. Government will give high priority to the establishment of an embassy in Saudi Arabia. A key feature of our diplomatic pursuits will be to conclude growth-inducing bilateral agreements, including comprehensive partnership agreements and preferential trade agreements to respond to our development needs and aspirations as they evolve. Government will endeavour to enhance market access in our traditional markets at bilateral and regional levels for our goods and services. In the process, we will step up our engagements for the extension of the third country fabric derogation under AGOA post-2015. We will actively pursue deepened economic engagement with Africa, the new global frontier of growth, in a manner that Mauritius becomes recognized as an important gateway to Africa. Government will work closely with like-minded countries to ensure that the concerns of small island developing states are fully addressed in the global fora. Government will step up efforts in bringing about more convergence in the policies among the regional economic communities to which Mauritius belongs. Government will, in collaboration with international cooperating partners and like-minded countries, continue to promote and preserve peace and security in Africa and the Indian Ocean region. Government will focus on the conclusion of the comprehensive economic partnership agreement with Europe and the tripartite COMESA, SADC, EAC, FTA negotiations. Government will also develop strategic economic partnership with emerging economies with particular focus on the BRICS and accelerate the implementation of an expanded Africa strategy. Government will ensure that the rights, territorial integrity and sovereignty, as well as security interests of Mauritius are fully respected and safeguarded. Government is much concerned at the lack of progress made to date to resolve the long-standing dispute over the Chagos Archipelago. Every effort will be made to speed up diplomatic talks with the UK and the US governments and actively seek the support of the international community in this respect. Government is fully committed to supporting the development of Rodrigues and other outer islands as an integral part of the Republic of Mauritius. Air and sea connectivity with Mauritius will be improved, as will public infrastructure, electricity and water supplies. Greater technical assistance will be provided in the fields of education, healthcare, agriculture and poverty alleviation. The support provided for the social and economic development of Rodrigues will be consolidated with the promotion of an enhanced business climate and boosting up development in the field of agriculture, more specifically organic farming, agriculture, as well as fisheries and artisanal products. Government will support the setting up of a Maison de Rodrigues in Mauritius with a view to better assisting and supporting our Rodriguan brothers and sisters to work and live here. The water problem in Rodrigues will be addressed with the construction of new reservoirs and planned exploitation of available resources. Government will bridge the digital communication gap between Mauritius and Rodrigues with the laying of the submarine optic fiber cable to link Mauritius and Rodrigues, thus enabling the emergence of a new ICT economic pillar in Rodrigues. Government will ensure that the needs and requirements of our fellow citizens based at Agaliga and other outer islands are catered for. Government will equip Agaliga with appropriate amenities, including an airstrip and a new jetty to improve accessibility and connectivity. In view of its specificity, the use of renewable energy will be promoted there. Government will also come up with new legislation to preserve the fragile ecosystem of Saint-Mandou. Honourable members, with the advent of a new government in place, time for the much-awaited change in the daily life of our citizens has arrived. The next 5 years will therefore be a defining era in the economic and social revival of our country. This legislative program is an important stage of a journey that has just begun. Under the leadership of the Prime Minister Sani Jagnnath, government will create a new economic model based on a number of challenges, namely, putting in place a people's government, fueling growth in the major sectors of the economy, creating new pillars of development, creating new jobs for our people, injecting good governance, transparency and accountability in government business, tackling security, law and order, protecting our fragile environment and ecosystem, fighting poverty and social exclusion, making opportunities more equal for all our countrymen, and improving the general well-being of the population. So our creed today is innovative socialism, and all members of government believe passionately in this vision. In short, the ambition is to create an economy where Mauritius would be a regional reference in entrepreneurship, aviation and tourism, shipping and logistics, technology and innovation, just to name a few. But it will also be founded on the determination that wealth and opportunity must be more fairly distributed across the entire spectrum of the society. Government wants to see an economy where not just our standard of living, but also everyone's quality of life rises steadily and sustainably in harmony with the environment. This socio-economic vision reflects government's belief in the Mauritian genius and entrepreneurship spirit, our sense of social justice and reward sharing. It is a vision of a modern and vibrant Mauritius. The results of the elections of 10th December heralded a new era for meaningful change. But Sani Jagnnath, his coalition partners and his team alone cannot materialize this vision. Though they have the energy, the ideas and ambition to get our country back on track, they need the support and participation of our entire population. Time has come to achieve meaningful change. We must turn turning the page, this is a long-awaited opportunity for us all to join forces together, recreate history through a second socio-economic miracle and contribute to the making of a better future for the nation. And that includes every one of our rainbow nation. If we join together, if we act decisively and move forward with optimism and determination, we can address the economic, social, and political problems that have plagued our nation for nearly a decade. Together, we can materialize the change the country strongly desires and move towards growth and prosperity. We appeal to the population to participate in our economic reconstruction and nation-building endeavors and help materialize our vision and dreams. We cannot do that. We can do that. We can reshape our destiny and the destiny of the generations to come. Honorable members, I thank you for your attention and pray that the blessings of the Almighty may rest upon your counsels.